All right, it's Pugs here at the Sun Bru house. What do we call this? Sam and Jimmy are with me. It is another Sun Bru live broadcast for Wednesday? What's it? Wait, it's Thursday.
Thursday.
See, when you're out of work, you really have no need for a calendar. Every day's a weekend.
It's action living with Sun Bru at thebarlive.com. Is that correct? I'm here every day. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sound good?
Thebarlive.com. There are a lot of things about traditional radio that I'm sure the three of us can argue for hours about. But one of the things is there are templates in place. You know how to start the show in traditional radio.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure how to do this.
Well, Brandon always does it. He goes, I'm Brandon. I got my man Jimmy over here running the board.
All right.
And I got Sam the mailman. How you doing today?
I'm doing. What are you talking to me?
No, that's just how he starts the show.
I shouldn't be involved in this. I'm sorry, we're improv.
Yeah, that's how he starts the show. And then he gets mad because if he says, "How you doing today?" and I go, "Good, how you doing?" he goes, "You don't have to ask me how I'm doing because I said how I was doing, so there's no reason to ask me back how I'm doing."
Do you do that every day?
I don't do it, but
That's
other people might be here. If other people are sitting in, because there's a revolving bunch of people that come here.
Who else sits in here?
Who
else?
We could take the whole show and just make fun of stuff that Brandon does that he gets mad about.
No. We're not going to do that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Brandon's very busy today. He's got a whole bunch of stuff, Sun Bru business to attend to, so he asked me last night if I'd come in here, and why not? I haven't sat down with a microphone and done an actual radio show since November, since before Thanksgiving, just after Thanksgiving.
Well, that's not necessarily true. You did some fill-ins, didn't you, at the Fan in Dallas? How did that go?
Yeah. Well, still in the process there. Boy, that is. I don't know what I can say about that, but boy, oh boy, come on. Yeah, that's up in the air.
I saw Elf on TV the other night after the Mavs game, I think, on 21 with Gina Miller.
Mark Elfenbein, my fill-in partner on 105.3 The Fan.
Yeah. Well, he just goes by Elf, though, right?
He goes by Elf.
He's short.
No, he's not.
Oh, wasn't him then? Oh, who was...
Josh? Was maybe Josh on with him?
Oh, okay.
See, 'cause here's the bizarre thing about the old Josh and Elf show on 105.3. Josh is extremely elfin. He's like 5'3". He looks like an elf. Like if you saw the dude, like if there was a picture, hey, the Josh and Elf show, you would assume that Elf was Josh.
Yeah.
But it's not. Elfenbein, Mark Elfenbein, he's a big dude. He's normal.
Okay.
He's like, yeah.
Well, then he's a big dude. He was in a suit.
When I say big, I wouldn't say fat.
No, I don't mean fat,
Yeah,
but
he's
just
big, broad
stocky.
shoulders. Yeah, stocky. Yeah, it looks like he can tangle ass. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Elf, that was always confusing to me because I didn't know Mark and I knew Josh Lewin as his voice. And you see the Elf and Josh show, you just assume that the guy that looks like an elf is the elf, right? But no, he's not.
By the way, something that you told me about 2 years ago, I don't know if you've been following this, but it's now public knowledge that it was revealed on the air last week. Sybil and Richie Witt have come clean on their relationship, although we knew about it like 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, everybody, first of all, Sybil, of course, Sybil Summers, my former producer for almost a decade at 105.3, and Richie Witt, my opinion, Sam, I know that you've got a sort of a differing opinion on this, right? You don't like Richie?
No, I like Richie.
Oh, you do?
I don't like Grego.
Somebody I know doesn't like Richie, and I'm always shocked by that, because I think Richie's one of the best writers in town.
I read his column every Friday. They're at the Wits End.
Wits End is brilliant. Yeah.
No, I like Richie. I don't like Grego.
And why don't you like Greg? Who doesn't like Greg? Well,
he annoys the hell.
I guess there are people over at the ticket that might not like Greg. But
he just annoys. I mean, my voice is nothing that's great, but he just annoys the hell out of me. I can't stand listening to him. Yeah, it's just me. I don't know.
I don't really get off on hating on people for bad radio voices. Considering what I've made do with.
I don't know. I
think here's the deal with Grego. Grego is one of the most genuine, nice guys. Now, I don't. Grego and I don't hang out on my couch on weekends and watch TV, so I don't know what he's really like. But, I mean, in professional settings, every time that I've met him or every time I've had a moment or two to sit and talk with him, he's just a genuinely nice guy. The energy is positive. You feel good when you talk to him. He doesn't complain. He's not a whiner. So I mean, I don't really know him personally in the way that maybe some people do, so I can't speak to that. But I can tell you professionally, I like Greg. I like Greg a lot.
Okay.
And he kills me. That dude kills me on the air. You don't find him funny?
Not the least bit. I find it funny when he makes major gaffes and Richie makes fun of him.
Yes, that's the thing about him. He is the most unintentionally funny. I mean, first of all, he is witty. I mean, he can be funny when he wants to be, but his natural on-air persona is just this can we? I mean, I don't even know. We swear here. He's like a shit kicking Texan who doesn't take any crap from anybody.
Yeah.
And that attitude is so funny on the air.
We try not to swear too much, but every now and then, if you let one fly, it's okay.
I heard shit on national TV, so you can say that now. I think
it is becoming like that, where it's a little bit easier to get away with those. I've noticed that that's becoming less and less.
On Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, well, every night on the news we're watching Syrian kids get blown to pieces, so maybe shit doesn't really offend people too much anymore.
Right.
No, but it's like Conan's show now. They say everything. Even when they say the F word, they don't bleep it very well, but they say shit, that word on Conan all the time.
Something has happened where after the late night shows are now absolutely, they're getting a little more salty with their language and what's allowed. Well, it's always been self-policed anyway.
Because I remember when Ted Turner owned TBS, did you hear my accent? Turner, he was very Bible thumping, and you could not get away with anything on that on his networks. When he
Do you remember when Ted Turner? This is always Kelly's favorite Ted Turner story. Do you remember when he banned every Catholic in the newsroom at CNN from participating in Ash Wednesday because he thought it looked stupid and he was tired of seeing people with ashes on their forehead?
Oh wow!
So this is what a dictator does. I mean, it's totally religious persecution. You can't do that in today's world. But he basically told everybody that if you're a Catholic, don't get the ashes and then come in here, not for any like political or religious reasons, but he thought it looked stupid and he didn't want to see people walking around with ashes on their head.
If you are going to be biased as to who's going to be walking around your place, it might as well be for what they look like rather than what they're feeling or anything like that. That seems like a pretty good way to go about it.
Well, I love that. I know we just came through the Lent period for those Catholics out there, and I always enjoy the Ash Wednesday. When you put on CNN or put on some of the news, you always get to find out who's Catholic and who's not, because they'll do the news with the Ash right there. Oh,
I've never noticed this.
Yeah, who did it? Somebody real mainstream did it on a
CNN?
network. No, not on like network TV this year. Somebody, maybe it was a talk show host, maybe it was like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or somebody.
Wow.
Somebody did their whole show with it and didn't say anything about it, and I just went, oh, okay, they're Catholic.
Was
That's
it more?
interesting.
Or was it as a bit?
No, it wasn't a bit. It was a bit you thought they'd have drawn attention to it, but no, this was like very, very, never drew attention to it, never mentioned it or nothing. Just did the entire show with the Ash Wednesday ash on their head.
Did you give up anything for it?
Yeah, working, Sam. Yeah, I gave up my profession for Lent. Yeah. No, spending money. I gave up spending money for Lent. That was something I didn't do. I spent very little money. Are you Catholic, Sam?
No, I'm Jewish.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I did give up soda just for the hell of it, and I've had a half a sip of a Diet Coke in 2.5 months. That's all. I haven't had a soda.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's my big vice. That's my. Well, I'm sure that there are doctors and other people out there would tell you I have more vices than that. But I consider my main vice to be 32-ounce sodas.
Yeah.
And I have recently given those up too. This is water.
Oh,
Drinking
good.
water now.
Water's good for you.
Apparently, I'm ingesting like 50,000 calories in soda every day, which is not a good thing. So, got to cut that out.
I understand. I'm kind of the same way with the energy drinks.
That's all sugar.
Yeah.
That's
It's
good,
insane.
though.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right, well, we're going to be here for a little bit of time. I don't even know how long we're here. I've just committed to be here today. So how do we usually do this? Sam, you usually get started with some news?
Yeah, I got some news we can talk about, and then we'll just take it from there. So you say you wanted to win the Mega Millions from the other last week when it was, what, 656 million? Well, there was 3 winners, okay?
Hey, whatever happened to the McDonald's lady?
She said she lost the ticket.
I know. And she was going to get around to looking for the ticket.
Okay, did you hear about this, Jimmy? Okay, McDonald's.
Oh, you guys didn't talk about this? This was the greatest.
No.
You want me to set it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so this crazy, ghetto fabulous lady from a McDonald's in Baltimore. She was given the responsibility of buying the tickets for everybody at McDonald's.
They did a pool. They
did a
all
pool.
put in money.
So she went and she bought all the tickets for the people at McDonald's. Well, one of those tickets won, reportedly won. She, however, claimed that ticket that won wasn't part of the pool. She bought that one on her own. I know. The balls on this woman, right? The balls, man. I could not believe it. And then you see her, she's got the big gold grill, and she's wearing like a hat cocked sideways. She's like 300 pounds, but she's wearing like a small pair of juicy pants.
Yeah.
It was just insane. And she's I mean, straight face. Yeah, that wasn't part of the pool tickets. I bought that one on my own. And then when everybody went crazy about it, she went and got a lawyer, which is apparently the first thing you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get a lawyer. First thing, if you got those winning tickets, get on the phone with a lawyer, but not just any lawyer. Find a lawyer that deals with lottery winners. Oh, is that her?
Picture of her.
Oh, she's cleaned up there.
Yeah, she's
the
cleaned
lawyer
up.
cleaned her up, man.
Yeah.
She does not look the way she used to look like she was in Arsenio's dog pound. You know, that's how she used to look.
I'll see if I can find a better one.
So,
Wow, the most convenient extra ticket ever.
oh yeah. Yeah. No, that was part of the balls. I just couldn't believe it. I would kill that woman. I would just kill that one. Anyway, so she gets the lawyer, and the lawyer alerts the media, and it turns into this whole thing. Here we have the Maryland winner. This is the winner from Maryland. Well, a couple days go by, and she's yet to produce the ticket. And now the lawyer's getting a little bit edgy, like, what am I wasting my time here? You know, I'm doing this for free based on the fact that you supposedly have a ticket that's worth a couple $100 million. Where's the ticket? I need to know if I'm going to continue with this. And that's when she let it fly. She lost the ticket. She thinks it might be in some pants in the washer. She'll get around to looking for it.
Well, and then did you also say that she said that she had left it in the McDonald's, but it was hidden somewhere in the restaurant, but nobody knew where it was except for her. But the managers wouldn't let her back into the restaurant to even try and remotely go.
So she got fired?
I'm not exactly sure what happened in that case.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because you would think McDonald's is such a big corporation, you can't fire someone for that, can you? I mean, just not
Yeah.
like that. You'd think that they'd be all...
Very PC about it,
Yeah.
making sure that doesn't get out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
But imagine working with her. Imagine, first of all, if she did win, why is she worried about her job?
Yeah.
But apparently it turns out it was just, apparently she's nuts. Apparently she's just nuts. She wanted a little attention. Because I understand that the actual Maryland ticket was claimed. So that means that she didn't have the winning ticket.
Oh, wow.
There were 3 winning tickets. Yes, Sam?
Yeah, it says only 2 have been claimed so far.
Maryland's been claimed, though.
As of Wednesday, April 11th, there were apparently 3 winners, but supposedly only 2 have been claimed that I know of.
I know one was in Illinois,
One was in Kansas.
and one was in Maryland.
Yeah. Maybe somebody else did claim it in Maryland.
She had no real sense of urgency to go looking for the tickets.
Oh, wait a minute. It says the winner of them. Yeah, this is from Huffington Post. Said the winner in the Maryland did claim the prize on Monday, and this was put up on the 12th. Put up on the 9th. But she's going to remain anonymous, so it obviously wasn't the McDonald's
Yeah.
winner.
No, it was the manager who wouldn't let her back in.
Yeah, he found it. He
Yeah.
found it stashed somewhere. Yeah.
Of course, he's got to remain anonymous.
All right, so what about that? So
Okay.
what are these 3 winners? What
Okay.
are we looking at?
Here's the breakdown. It was $656 million. So each could choose to receive an annual annuity that would pay out over $219 million over 26 years.
Nice.
Or you could take the cash option and get $128 million before taxes. Now the key here is before taxes.
All right, yeah. Now let's talk about that. What do? Do you take the annuities, the annual payments where you are guaranteed X amount of dollars, or do you take it all up front?
I take it all up front.
You got to. Because I'm going to trust the government, this on the verge of bankrupt government, to be paying me out my lottery winnings in 10 years. I mean, people aren't going to get their Social Security. Okay, I mean, I don't think that the lotto winners are all that high. They're going to go through that money some other way. You know what I mean? And they'll be
that's
like, oh, you should have taken it 5 years down the road. Yeah, there's not going to be any more payments. Yeah, well, you should have taken it up front. So
Yeah.
you got to take it up front. But what happens with taking it up front is, this is where you
The
end
government gets you.
Well, the government gets you, but you also get
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes, that's what I'm worried about. I want small installation payments.
You don't trust yourself.
No, not at all. Like,
Well, here's what you do. To a family member who you
Yeah.
trust, you let them take it all at once, and then they will pay you. They will pay you
then
out
we
yearly.
end up in court like 15 years from now
Yeah,
when
you do.
like all the money's gone, and I
Yeah.
still don't get my installation
Yeah,
payments.
and he's in Barbados.
Yeah.
He can't be reached for comment.
Well, here's a breakdown of where the money goes. Okay, federal income taxes right off the top. So say you take the $128 million, 35% of it goes right to the government, so that's about $45 million. That leaves you with $83 million off the top after you pay your federal taxes.
Okay, $83 million.
If you live in a state with state income taxes, luckily we don't have state income taxes here. That would be another. That would be about $9 million, depending on what state, what the tax rates. That leaves you
Please.
with $74 million. If you
Do you
decide,
take my debit card?
now here's where, if you stay right there and don't do just keep the money, don't do anything else with it, you've got $74 million clean and free. You're done. Now, if you start giving money out, to say you gave your mom some, and you gave, if your son was older, you could give him the money. You gave your sister some. You give your dad. I know you don't have them, but for everyone, okay, it says that You will owe a 35% federal gift tax after you give away more than $5.2 million of the exemption. So if you start giving away money to churches, to everyone else, you lose another 35%.
You know why this is really sort of, it's a misleading article? Because if you come into $74 million, this is all if you're doing it yourself. If you come into $74 million, you are going to have the top financial people in the world handling your money.
Yep.
And they'll find you shelters, they'll find you dodges, they'll take care of you.
Yep. Now, say you get the money and you die this year.
Ooh.
Okay, so you still
Death
have the
tax.
You still have the 74 million. Now you're talking about the federal estate tax. It goes to your estate, which has to pay another 35% over 5.12 million. So basically, you're going to lose 62% if you die. That means your heirs are only going to get 48 million.
The hell do I care if I'm dead?
Right.
You know.
And then you have a state estate tax. You have you have other taxes. So basically, that's why they're saying people that win the lottery and you can't understand how they end up blowing through all the money. It's because you don't get a good tax person, like you said. You can go from 128 million after all is said and done with all these up taxes and giving stuff away down to maybe about $1 million.
You know, I could live the rest of my life right now. You give me $2 million, I can live the rest of my life extremely comfortably on $2 million.
Me
You
too.
can make that work for you. You buy your property, you know, you invest in secure bonds, you don't invest in crazy stock stuff, and you can live off that kind of stuff. I mean, if you put $1 million in the bank, what's the interest on $1 million? Isn't it like $200,000 a year? So just put $1 million in the bank and you get paid $200,000 a year for having that $2 million or for having that $1 million in the bank. I can live on $200,000 a year very comfortably.
And like you said, you just get a good tax lawyer, man, and you're hiding most of that money.
I don't need a jet. I don't need to own the bowling alley that I go to.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need that's people. These people, they get rich and there was a guy years ago, the very first mega winner, and this will tell you how long ago this was. This was a guy in Chicago. He won $40 million. And at the time, that was the largest single payout. This is probably about 83, 84, something like that. $40 million, and it blew everybody's mind. This dude is broke now. This guy has been profiled on all of those lottery loser shows, and it's why I used the bowling alley thing. He bought a bowling alley that he hung out at. He bought the bar he hung out at. He bought like all of these things. He had nothing. Well, I don't know nothing. He was probably a good, solid, hardworking blue collar guy. You know, he was definitely blue collar. Probably made 35, 40 grand a year, whatever. But he suddenly came into all of this money, and the stories about this guy, Wazalevitz is the guy's name. Jimmy Wazalevitz. Something like Jimmy Wazalevitz, something like that. This guy apparently, once he got this money, he like totally changed. He became the cock of the walk. And he just, if somebody screwed him or if he thought he got bad service in a restaurant, damn it, he bought the restaurant. He was that guy.
Just to fire him.
Yes, he was that guy. And now he's broke. And even if you were to give me $40 million in 1983, there's no way I could be broke today.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
It's insane.
I don't need a $100,000 car for every day of the week. I don't.
Yeah.
I need one car. Two. I won the lottery. I can have two cars.
Yeah. Really splurge.
Yeah.
Like, how long do you have to actually claim your lottery?
Depending on the
days.
states. Some states it's a year.
Really?
Other states it's 6 months. It all depends on the states.
I thought in Texas it was 120 days.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Texas is here. I can tell you I have a lottery.
Yeah, txlottery.com. It says that.
I have a lottery.
Because we were kind of hitting on it earlier. Like when you win the lottery, immediately kind of the worst part of you comes out. I would imagine, where like especially if you're supposed to divvy this out with everybody.
Yeah, apparently if you get a hit record, that happens too.
Yeah. Like I would imagine, like if I'm in a marriage and I'm looking across, I realize that I've just won the lottery, and I look across the living room, and my wife's over there. And we're kind of on the rocks right now.
She ain't as good looking as she used to be, right?
Like, should I make sure that this thing's over with and then claim the lottery?
People do that, and then they get busted on it because
they do it.
You know that you have the ticket.
Oh, you scumbag. I see what you're doing.
It might
before
not
she
work
even
out.
knows you won.
Yeah, I'm
you're
just
like,
slip
all right,
that in.
First order of business, divorce attorney.
Yeah.
Nah, you know what?
Okay.
You married her, dude.
Yeah.
It's her payday too. It's
But she doesn't even know that I got the ticket, you
Yeah,
know?
but
And
she
we're
will.
fighting right now.
She will when you start bringing home the Hooters girls.
You're right, Pugs. In Texas, it is 180 days.
Oh, I know. I
And
play
then-
the Texas Lotto.
Players who win prizes over $5,000 will get to keep more of their winnings as a result of the jobs and growth tax relief of 2003 as well.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't either, but yeah. So in Texas, but some states it's up to a year.
You know, I've always said this. I've said this for years and years and years. Kelly can back me up on it. My close friends can back me up on this. I am going to win the lottery. I just feel like I'm going to win the lottery, and I'm starting to get pissed. I'm in my 40s now. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, would you give me some money before I get too old to really enjoy it? No, I want to be 65. That always sucks. You see, a 90-year-old granny won the lottery. Oh, I bet she's pissed. I bet she's really couldn't have won this before I got the cut rate hip replacement. Really, I couldn't have had this money before I went completely decrepit and living in this wheelchair for the next 6 months or however long I'm going to live. And then they always say something really sweet. They always say something, well, it's for the kids. It's for the grandkids. Somehow I don't buy that. Somehow I think that you'd much rather have the money when you're younger.
I like that you're steadfast in feeling that you are definitely going to win.
I do. I've always felt that way. It's like, it's like, well, I suppose I can dig this ditch for $10, but I'm going to win the lottery. So maybe it's my excuse.
I actually read a study yesterday that said, I think it was 80% of people are found to be overly optimistic.
Me. Hey, better than being overly pessimistic, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
I was one number away back in '83 of winning $4 million in the Massachusetts lottery.
What was the number?
I had 4. It was 10. It was 12, and I had 10. And there was no winners in it. I got 5 out of 6, but back then, 5 out of 6 only meant $400. Now it's like $100,000.
Wow. Yeah, the lottery's cool. I like the lottery.
Yeah, I was addicted to it when I was a mailman. We used to up at the end of the day at the little convenience store down the end of the street and just scratch off tickets all the time. The manager would tell me, "No, we haven't had any winners out of this book yet," because he'd be buying them and scratching them too. We had a big winner out of this book, so go to this book, because usually each book has like one somewhat good winner in it. And he would say, somebody just bought 10 of them and they still haven't won, so your chances are at least you're going to win $5 or $10 coming up in the next couple.
You know, this lottery fever talk, this guy reminds me of, did you hear the story about, damn it, I wish I knew the guy's name. I can't remember the guy's name. He's a rookie for the Washington Wizards. He, like a 21-year-old kid, he spent $10,000 on this lottery. He sent his boys out, and they spent $10,000. Yeah, he won nothing, of course.
Wow.
But he figured he was going to. That's the kind of person that's going to be broke. That dude is going to be busted by the time he's 30. If he doesn't turn into, Charles Barkley or Michael Jordan or one of these guys and continue to make these big paychecks for the next 10 years, that guy's going to be broke.
Yeah.
He's going to be working at a gas station near you.
The saddest part about that night, though, is that I think that there were a lot of people that did that. That they thought that this was their night and they were going to put everything they have into it. And there were probably a lot of people that read those numbers and cried in unison.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was
they say
not
people
their
committed
night.
suicide. They say people killed themselves. Yeah.
Wow.
They were so involved. Well, look, here's the thing, and this is the rule, and I don't know if you guys adhere to this rule, but I do. $1. I just pay $1. If I'm going to win, I'm going to win. It's not going to be, if I'd only spent one more dollar. No, that's the devil talking to you. If you're going to win, if it's in the cards, if it's in the stars, you're going to win with the $1 because you're meant to win. So don't go up there with $100 going, I only have $150, but I'm telling you, I'm feeling lucky, and what could go wrong? No, you're going to lose that $100.
Yeah.
One ticket, one set of numbers. That's how you're going to win. You're not going to win. If you spend $10, $9, and you win, 9 of those were wasted. Although you got it back because you won. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just one ticket. So just spend $1. And by the way, for that $1, I always justify this. People are like, well, you go into these impoverished neighborhoods and you see these lines for lottery and they're all waiting. They don't have money for this, but they got money for lottery. Look, you know what? For $1 every Friday night or whatever, I'll take that hope. The hope and the excitement and the fun. That's worth $1 to me. It's $1 for crying out loud.
Yeah, as long as you're doing $1, that seems healthy. There are definitely the people that are hanging out inside the stops like way too long.
Yeah, that's what I always say. I always say it's only $1. 6 numbers come up, they could be your 6 numbers.
That's right. And if it's going to be your 6, it's going to be your 6.
Adam Reyna.
No,
so our friend Adam Reyna. So I put out that you were hosting the show today. So I was telling people to tune in because you haven't been doing this. So he replies to me because he's not a big Brandon fan, never has been. So he goes, I would if it wasn't a Sun Bru thing. And I said, oh, Brandon's not here. He may pop on a little later, but we're doing a Pug show. And he replied back, right, but it's his property. I choose not to support him at all. My ears and dollars vote for what I support.
All right. I can respect that, I suppose, Adam.
Adam.
What else is happening, Sam?
Let's see. Oh, Axl Rose. Did you hear about this?
Now, I know that he's supposedly dating that chick that was really awful on Saturday Night Live, Lana Del Rey.
They debunked that. He's not dating her, but
okay.
she was horrible. No, this is about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You didn't hear about this?
No, you know what happened? Last night, I went to sleep very early because I took a bunch of Tylenol PMs, and I slept till about 10:30 this morning just before I came over here.
Okay, well, Guns N' Roses is going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year.
Oh, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
They're being inducted by Green Day.
Let me tell you something first about Guns N' Roses, quickly, why I think they deserve to go in there. Because in my lifetime of watching the evolution of rock and roll music, the Guns N' Roses contribution is akin to the missing link. Guns N' Roses are the band that linked the Sunset Strip Hollywood hair metal to the Seattle Nirvana and Guns N' Roses. They were the perfect transition, huge band. They were very punky, but they were also a part of that Hollywood glam scene. And it was after that. I mean, they in the beginning, if you look at early Guns N' Roses, they were teased out hair, and Axl was wearing makeup. Then look at once they became famous. It was blue jeans and flannels and ripped shirts, and they looked like dirtbags. So I think they're an incredibly important band. Even if they were only, around for 5 years or so, they were still an incredibly important band in the evolution of rock and roll.
Yeah, it's totally true.
Well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is this weekend, and Guns N' Roses is being inducted by Green Day. But Mr. Axl Rose is upset, and he wrote a letter to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame board telling them why he will not be there and why they are not allowed to speak for him at all. To the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, when the nominations for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame were first announced, I had mixed emotions, but in an effort to be positive, wanting to make the most of things for the fans and with their enthusiasm, I was honored, excited, and hoped that somehow this would be a good thing. Of course, I realized as things stood, if Guns N' Roses were to be inducted, it would be somewhat of a complicated or awkward situation because basically he doesn't get along with the rest of the band. They all pretty much hate each other. There was talk maybe they would get up on stage because these things usually people would do a quick reunion. It might get them talking.
Yeah, it happened with Van Halen.
Yep. Since then, we've listened to fans, talked with members of the board of the Hall of Fame, communicated with and read various public comments and jabs from former members of Guns N' Roses, had discussions with the president of the Hall of Fame, read various press, and read some other artists' comments weighing in publicly on Guns N' Roses with their thoughts. Under the circumstances, I feel we've been polite, courteous, and open to an amicable solution in efforts to work something out. Taking in consideration the history of Guns N' Roses, those who plan to attend, along with those for the Hall, for reasons of their own, have chosen to include our induction and how those involved with the Hall have handled things. No offense meant to anyone, but the Hall of Fame induction ceremony doesn't appear to be somewhere I'm actually wanted or respected. For the record, I will not be...
Whoa. Is this supposed to be Axl talking?
Yeah, well, I think
not
it's people.
Respected?
Yeah.
Being inducted is the highest form of respect.
Yeah, they didn't check you at the door.
Right. You're not just attending, dude. We're here honoring you.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, I kind of like this from rock bands.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't want my rock bands getting together. And these days, there's no real rock band. There's nothing. They used to get in trouble, do drugs. There was sex everywhere. Now they're, joining Greenpeace things, and they're talking about saving the environment, which is nice. But you guys need to fight with each other every once in a while.
Yeah, you're right.
It's boring.
Yeah.
These are the last guys that actually did that. Nirvana, just like you said, it was them into Nirvana, and then it was over.
Black Crows, Black Crow, maybe they'd show up, maybe they wouldn't, and if they did, the two brothers would be fist fighting on stage. Oasis, Oasis was like that too. It's like, oh, I'm going to the Oasis concert, hope they show up. There was this sort of edginess to rock and roll.
Yeah, and it's nowhere near on that level, but there was actually a band that I noticed was playing out of nowhere. It's called At the Drive-In at Trees.
Yeah, they were in town 2 nights ago.
Yeah, and I had no idea that they were getting together, but the only reason why that was a big show is because they couldn't get along with each other. and they got together, and the whole story was, how did they get along? Did they seem like they wanted to be on the stage together? Like, that's kind of fun. Like, that's good rock, you know?
You know, I had never really thought about that, but you bring up a really good point. There's no bad boy rock band out there anymore.
No.
I mean, at least not in the mainstream where, they're talking about it on Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are in the underground and stuff, there's all kinds of stories.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, platinum selling rock bands that are, rock bands, like from the Zeppelin cut, that kind of band.
Yeah.
And it really, Oasis is really the last group of bad boys that I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, again,
There was a band a couple of months ago, but they weren't that big of a band, and I can't for the life of me think of who they are now.
you know what it is now? It's hip hop guys shooting each other. That's what it is. That's the bad boy element that we have now. Knife fights and gun fights at discos. Discos, clubs. I got very European there for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I want my band to not be welcome on a plane.
Yeah, you want them to have to fly private.
Yeah, like I don't want my band flying on the public planes. I want my lead singer to be out there like the Invisible Children guy every once in a while, where you're not sure what drug he's on, but he's out in the street.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That would at least keep people interested.
Did you see, either of you guys see the movie Get Him to the Greek?
Yeah.
Elda Snow. I would
was
love to
great.
have an Elda
Right.
Snow in rock music.
Yeah.
The Russell Brand character that was first created for Getting Sarah Marshall and then reprised the role in Get Him to the Greek. That is a hysterical rock and roll character.
Yeah.
And you're right, that doesn't exist anymore.
No. I mean, we have to recreate it in Hollywood.
They all show up in suits and stuff places.
Yeah, they show up where they're supposed to.
Yeah, on
They're there to
time.
accept their awards.
Their
Thank
hair
you.
is done by a hair person, not some chick you slept with the night before.
Yeah.
It's just, it's no fun anymore.
Yeah.
But I'll say this about Guns N' Roses and the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is right in line with the Guns N' Roses motives. This is what I think it's almost cooler to say, all right, you've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then go, fuck you.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You know what I mean? Like, nah, you know what? Screw you. All right, now that the whole world knows that you want me, I'm going to say no. You retain your credibility, and you've also got the respect of knowing that if you wanted, well, you could be in.
Yep.
Well, he goes on.
And
to
that's very Guns N' Roses, is it not, Sam?
Yep. He goes on to say, I'll just read a couple more paragraphs because this is pretty long. For the record, I would not begrudge anyone for Guns for their accomplishments or recognition for such. Neither I or anyone in my camp has made any requests or demands of the Hall of Fame. It's their show, not mine. That said, I won't be attending the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction 2012 ceremony, and I respectfully decline my induction as a member of Guns N' Roses to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I strongly request that I not be inducted in absentia, and please know that no one is authorized, nor might anyone be permitted to accept any induction from me or speak on my behalf.
I love it.
Neither former members, label representatives, nor the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should imply, whether directly, indirectly, or by omission, that I am included in any purported induction of Guns N' Roses. This decision is personal. This letter is to help clarify things from my camp's perspective. Neither is meant to offend, attack, or condemn. Though unfortunately I'm sure there will be those who will take offense, God knows how long I'll have to contend with the fallout. I certainly don't intend to disappoint anyone, especially the fans, with this decision. Since the announcement of the nomination, we've actually sought out a solution to what, with all things considered, appears to be a no-win, at least for me, damned if I do, damned if I don't scenario all the way around. In regards to a reunion of any kind of either the Appetite or Illusion lineups, I've publicly made myself more than clear. Nothing's changed.
Anyone believe he actually wrote that?
I think he probably gave his thoughts, but it was written by a PR person.
He ranted, paced back and forth in some dude's office, in that that cool Capitol Records building that you see. He's pacing the floor in some dude's office, ranting and raving, F-bombs flying, all that. And that was the cleaned up, sanitized version of what the rant was.
Which is why I wish we could go back to the days when they would. They would just say F you, and that was it.
Here'd be the coolest thing that Axl Rose could do. The night of the induction ceremonies, he plays a show in Cleveland. At like some bar or some club. Yeah, I'll play here for you guys at Dirty McNulty's, but I'm not going to go across the street to the Hall of Fame and play for those people. I'm going to play for you. Look, I've always liked Guns N' Roses, and I've always gotten a kick out of Axl Rose, but let's not forget one very important thing about Axl Rose. He's insane. I mean, he is clinically, bipolar to the time. I mean, he doesn't make rational decisions, and I think that's what Jimmy wants in his rock stars.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, definitely.
I'm
miss
surprised
that.
he's not broke.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other problem with with Axl. Now, Izzy played some shows with him back in '06. Him and Izzy get along okay. Then he invited Steven Adler to play some shows.
Yeah, you know why? Because Izzy's got no other cachet in life other than being Axl's friend.
And then Steven Adler played some shows with him a few years back, and then Steven went and started trashing Axl after Axl invited him to come out and play.
Didn't Adler die?
No, he's still alive. He's just out of his mind as well from all the drugs. And then Duff's band opened for Guns N' Roses this year when they were out doing some shows. So he gets along with Duff okay. He gets along with Izzy. Adler's now burned another bridge. So really, it seems that the major sticking point is Slash and Axl.
To me, Guns N' Roses is Slash, Axl, Izzy, Duff, and Matt Sorum. Steven Adler Steven Adler wasn't nearly as good a drummer as Matt Sorum. Matt Sorum was awesome.
Matt wasn't on the Appetite?
No, he came in after
Steven
that.
wasn't. When did Steven get kicked out?
Steven Adler?
Yeah.
After Appetite for Destruction. He went nuts. When they got real famous, he went nuts.
Yeah, on the drugs.
And to be the guy in Guns N' Roses that goes too far, you know that you went too far.
Well, remember, didn't we have him on your show a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a day when you were on. I remember.
I remember he was.
Okay.
He played. I remember he went to his show at the old Hard Rock or wherever where he was playing.
And then he had his book out. Oh, we had him on our old Really Bad Radio show, and he was just out of his mind.
I mean, he seems like a sweet, nice guy, but he's a guy that blew everything. He ruined the greatest thing. Well, I guess, when you're talking about being in Guns N' Roses, there are probably other people that ruined it.
Soul in the chat room says fights at the Source Awards with hip hop.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Back in the early days of Guns N' Roses, if you were to look at that band and you were to go, okay, who's the biggest F up, you would gravitate towards Slash. When, as it turns out, Slash is the most professional of all of them.
Right.
Can't judge a book by its cover.
That's true. Was he ever like the craziest one?
Who, Slash?
And then he kind of calmed down? Because I know he was.
Slash always seemed like he was on the verge of a heroin coma. I mean, that was his thing. The hair in his face and slumped over and the cigarette dangling and,
Yeah, he did have a big heroin problem, but it never showed. Like, you never heard, like you said, him going crazy or, off the deep end.
Slash is one of the rock stars I've peed next to.
Did you look?
No, I did not look at Slash. I was much younger. I was like 18, 19 years old when I peed next to Slash.
If you don't know, Jimmy, or the people listening, when Pugs pees next to a celebrity, he has to peek.
I have to look.
It's a necessary thing.
Yeah.
How
And if I get caught looking, I go, dude, you're famous.
Who are some of the celebrities now, Pugs, that you've...
Chad Kroeger from Nickelback.
And yes, good or bad,
Well, I'm not gay, but he was all right. Bigger than me. Yeah, I mean, he was good. The dude from is it Ed or is it who was the guy that was on the show? He's either Ed or the guy from Scrubs.
I know Ed.
I get them confused.
You're not talking about Zach Braff, are you?
It was Zach Braff.
Oh, Zach Braff. Okay.
Peed next to Zach Braff when we were at the Grammys, and I looked over. He was he was okay, bigger than me.
Have you ever caught them catching you in the act?
No, but I'm prepared. I mean, I'll look right now. Dude, you're famous. You're not just look. If you were like the cabbie that drove me over here, running in to take a peek, I wouldn't look. But you're famous.
This just proves to me that I never want to be famous on that level because this is normal behavior. It's totally acceptable to just peek over, and then when you make eye contact, you're famous.
If it's two strangers, then you're like gay. Then you're checking out his works. But if it's a celebrity, you go, dude, you're a celebrity. I'm curious.
So if you see a celebrity go in the stall and sit down, are you peeking in or like going over the stall and looking over?
No, of course not. No. It's got to happen naturally. And I'll tell you, in the case of Zach Braff, I knew I was going to do this because we were both in the bathroom at the same time and there was a line. It was the night before the Grammys, and we were at this big Grammy party at some place on Sunset. It's a famous place. People always get arrested there. Celebrities always get in trouble. It's called the something. It is like the country western bar in the middle of Hollywood. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're doing like a Billy Bob's thing, and it's all ironic because they're in Hollywood, you know?
Right.
But there was like a line of people, probably 3 or 4 people deep, and I remember stepping out of the line so that I could sort of, get next to Zach. So I knew that, we could time it so that I could take a look at his junk.
Is there a celebrity that you really want to pee next to so you can look at their junk? Is there like one famous celebrity?
I will tell you, no, I don't really, I don't really need, like it's not something that I don't have a checklist. It's happenstance. If it occurs, then I'm all in.
Wait, that's not true though. You just said that you'll sidle up on people in line.
But that was happenstance in the moment. In the moment, I found myself having to urinate at the same time as Zach Braff, and I figured, well, if we're both here, I may as well pee next to him and take a look.
Did you ever, in the old days when you would do remotes and if you had celebrities come out, your old producers, Eric and Sybil, would you have them be on pee alert so if you saw them during a break, a celebrity going to the bathroom, you
No,
could...
it's not that thought out. It has to just happen naturally. I got to be in a situation. Now, if I go to a place where I know there's going to be a lot of celebrities and I'm going to have this unencumbered access to sort of mingle with them, then yeah, I'll go, all right.
Okay.
I'll take a look at his junk. Take a look at his
I
junk.
was going to say, if you got press passes to the Cowboys, for instance,
Yeah.
and you go in the locker room, would you be scoping out Tony Romo, getting out of the shower and getting to his locker?
No, I think that's a little. Oh, I would look. Yeah, I would look. Yeah, I mean, if I was like, if I was invited into the Cowboys locker room and everybody was showering, I'd check it out. I'd be like,
I just have this image of Pugs being the guy at the celebrity party that sidles up at the groups and say, "So, anybody need to pee?"
Who wants to chug? Chug? Come on, George Clooney, chug with me. Come on, you take the picture. Yeah. No.
Really drunk and you both get to the bathroom at the same time? Come on in and pee with me. The toilet's big enough.
The most horrifying sight that I ever saw was DeMarcus Ware. Dallas Cowboys own DeMarcus Ware. He needed a collar for that thing. I mean, he was standing like 4 feet back. You
Wow.
know? Yeah. He was very large.
Wasn't hard to catch a glimpse of that one.
Exactly. Yeah. I could just peripheral. I peripheraled that one. All right. What else you got, Sam?
Did you hear about the baby that was reported dead and the mom went to say goodbye in Argentina 12 hours later and the baby was alive?
No.
Okay, a newborn in Argentina was found alive in a morgue by her mother 12 hours after hospital staff had declared the baby dead. The mother was at the hospital when they issued her a death certificate for the infant rather than a birth certificate. So she said that it was her 5th baby that was born prematurely. 2 hours after being issued a death certificate, she and her husband visited the morgue because they wanted to see the child one more time. The baby was there and they put a little casket on a stretcher. We looked out for a bar to pry it open. The wife looked and uncovered it slowly. She saw the little hand and then covered the face. That's when the first little baby started crying. That night we went to the morgue. We wanted to take a photo of our daughter, but when a worker opened the drawer, we heard her cry and she was alive. So they first went a couple hours later and they thought that they heard something, but the baby was alive, but it wasn't. It was faint. They went 12 hours later again to take a photo and the baby was alive and kicking. Now authorities are saying they think it's because initially maybe that there was something wrong with the baby and the doctors in Argentina.
I'm guessing bad doctors in Argentina.
Well, they think that the cold in the casket somehow kept the body from how do you say that word?
I don't know, dying?
Yeah, dying. But 12 hours later, the baby was alive. It was a miracle.
Are they sure that it was a miracle?
I don't know if it was. I said miracle. It doesn't say miracle in the story.
It's a happy ending, but that's a terrible story.
Yeah. Speaking of coffins, would you like to be buried in a bacon coffin?
A what?
A bacon coffin?
Yeah, I think I saw this. No.
It's not literally made from bacon, but it's painted to look like it's covered in the savory strips. JD Foods has created the caskets. It says a bacon coffin doesn't come cheap. It's $3,000 plus shipping, but the interior does come with a bacon memorial tube and a bacon-themed air freshener. So for the rest of your life, you'll be smelling like bacon down there.
Bacon. Bacon is the champagne of meats.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is.
What else is happening?
That's pretty much all I got. The Trayvon Martin deal is. Did you see that yesterday on CNN? All the coverage.
Yeah, I've been following that very, very closely.
I hadn't been too familiar with it, but then they did an awesome piece yesterday during Wolf Blitzer when they had breaking news. Any moment now, we're going to go to Florida for the press conference. Don Lemon did a story where he broke everything down minute by minute, literally from the first reporting to the phone calls to the shots being fired to the girlfriend being on the phone, but literally a minute by minute breakdown of what happened. Well, allegedly what happened. It was a really fascinating piece. It was probably about 10 minutes long.
I guess the big news is that, excuse me, George Zimmerman has been charged in Florida yesterday. They brought him into custody. He is he out on bail? Did he get out? I know there's a bond hearing.
The bond hearing going on.
They got to give him bond. They got to. This guy is obviously not running. If he was going to run, he would have run already. He was.
Well, no, he ran. He ran and then he turned himself in.
No, he didn't. No, what he did was he went into hiding because there were bounties and death threats on him. But he never ran. He was in constant contact with the prosecutor's office.
Oh, okay.
The people that he was hiding from were the attorneys that he was using. That once the story blew up, other big-time attorneys started stepping forward and going, hey, we'll represent you. This new guy, Mark O'Mara, who's his new attorney, is like some very well-known and extremely successful attorney. So the only person that he was hiding from were his original two attorneys. He didn't return their calls, and they didn't know where he was. But he was in constant contact with the Florida State Prosecutor's Office and with the new attorney.
And you could tell who had initiated the breakup between the attorneys and him, because the attorney said, well, we can't catch contact of him, and if he returns our calls, we can work it out. If you want to call us.
Yeah, it was pathetic. Because they wanted this case, because this case is going to be huge for their law practice. It's a big one. And he just kind of... And do you remember when he said... did you see the press conference with the attorneys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after the 10 minutes of her thanking everybody.
Do you remember the question from the... Did you have any sort of a retainer with him? And the attorney said... Well, we sent him a package, and he assured us that he had signed it and put it in the mail, but we have yet to see it. so yeah, he never signed on with these attorneys. He went out and got a bigger one.
Here's some news. He's in court right now for a bond hearing, and the judge has set May 29th as an arraignment for him on second-degree murder charges.
May 29th?
Yep.
All right, well, he's going to get out. They've got to give him bond.
Well, they said if they do, he's going to go to a secret location, and no one's going to know where he is for fear of his life because of all the death threats.
And that's fair. And as long as the court knows where he is, and as long as the prosecutor's office knows where he is, he can go anywhere he wants. People were saying, and this is why I kind of jumped on you when you said he ran. People were saying, oh, he's running. He's going. He wasn't running. He's an American citizen, not charged with anything. There was no warrant. He could go wherever the hell he wants.
Right.
It's not like... Now, he's got death threats, and he's got Spike Lee putting bounties on him. He's got the new Black Panthers putting bounties on him. I'd lay low, too. It's not... And I don't mean to defend this guy. I don't really have a dog in this race other than justice as being the final tally. That's what I want. I want to see the right thing done. But, let's not paint him... There are so many people out there willing to confuse the facts of this case. Let's just stick with what it is. And I'm also getting really tired of all the race talk.
Yeah.
I don't... Sam, I know you said you had some thoughts
Well,
on
no,
this.
did you... Okay, first of all, did you see that prosecutor lady on the press conference yesterday?
Yeah, Corey.
Did she have to spend the first 10 minutes, thanking everybody and their mother? Seriously.
It's her time, baby. National TV. She's in a political position. She might want to run for state office. This is her big shot.
It seems to me, and again, I watched the Don Lemon piece yesterday. It sounds like Don said that this guy's nose was bleeding and he had a smack to the back of the head when the police came.
Yeah.
It sounds to me, and again, unless there's more evidence, but it seems like all the evidence is out there, he was defending himself. Maybe he started it.
He started a fight.
Maybe he started it, but
started a fight, got his ass kicked, and
then pulled out the gun.
And then shot somebody.
Do you think that's how it went, or do you think he was just like...
All right, I'll give you a quick run through of what I think happened. I think that this guy, George Zimmerman, is a cop wannabe. I think that there are probably some things that have stopped him from becoming a cop, like the fact that he was arrested for fighting cops 3 years ago in a bar in Florida. That's why we see that horrible mugshot of him, where he's wearing the orange. That's a mugshot from when he tried to fight 3 cops outside a bar in a drunken brawl 3 years ago. Now, I think he's a law enforcement kind of guy. I mean, if we were to say, is he racist? I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. I know that the victim of his shooting was black, but that doesn't mean you're a racist. That just means that person had that skin tone. He's also, he's a community watch guy. And these people who volunteer for these kinds of gigs are over-officious busybodies.
They are.
They also have a bit of a hero complex where they want to be the ones to tell them, it's all right, go back in your house. I got this one. George Zimmerman here, apartment 4C. I got it handled. Cops are on the way. That's the kind of guy I think he is, just from looking at the background and the things about him. Now, what happened was, he was really geeked up on this particular night because this subdivision, this apartment complex, and by the way, that's what it is. The media was calling it a gated community. It is not a gated community. Well, there's a gate, but when you say gated community, you think Star Island.
Right.
You think, no, the apartment complex I live in is a gated community. And you know what? I got gangbangers living in my apartment complex.
Yeah, these gated communities are only for the pizza guy to have to wait behind another car.
That's exactly
come
it.
in after him.
Yeah, because they're not keeping criminals out.
Right.
But they are delaying my hot and fresh pizza being delivered on time because the guy's out there and he can't get in. So I think that Zimmerman was, doing the whole over-officious local hero kind of thing, and there had been some break-ins, and I don't know, black teenagers. I guess that's, probably what he assumed were doing the break-ins. And by the way, this is a mixed-race neighborhood. This is a neighborhood that's about 50-50 white and black. So George Zimmerman is in there in his SUV. Wouldn't it be funny if he had like a Ford LTD with the light on the side? Like he went out and got that made. Just
Zimmerman across the sides.
And it was raining. Now, this was the NBA All-Star game, if you guys can remember back then, just a couple of months ago in February. It was during halftime of the NBA All-Star game that this kid, Trayvon Martin, decided he was going to run up to the 7-Eleven. And by the way, I have Google mapped this neighborhood, this subdivision, and all that. 7-Eleven is far. It is far. The story on this kid is that he was just running out during halftime of the NBA All-Star game to go get something to drink. And he came back with Skittles and an iced tea. But man, the 7-Eleven, Google Map that. The 7-Eleven is far, and it was raining?
Wow.
My God. So apparently, the kid's on his way back home to his father's girlfriend's place where he was staying with his father. And it was raining. And because it was raining, he was like running from one doorstep to another, get a little break from the rain. And George Zimmerman saw this and thought, oh, that's suspicious behavior. And if you listen to the 911 call, he even describes him as, oh, it's raining out here, and he's acting weird, he's darting in and out, and he looks like he's on drugs or something. So Zimmerman was making some leaps. Right. Now, whether or not those leaps were based on any fact, we don't know, but apparently, I believe it was raining. The kid was, people who are, on the other side of this are saying, look, it was raining. He was getting soaked. He was running in and out of doorways so that he wouldn't get rained on. That makes sense to me.
It does. And if you're on any type of hard drug that you should really be worried about people in your neighborhood being on, you're not going to even want to look at Skittles.
Well, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
So he calls 911, and he reports it. And by the way, he had called 911 46 times in the previous 10 months. So he was no stranger to this. This guy does this. He's, like I said, the over-officious neighborhood hero. And he calls the police, and he describes what he's seeing, and the police tell him, this is where it ends for me. The police tell him, okay, hang back, don't follow him, we got this. We hear that. We hear that from the 911 operator. It ends there. Anything that he does now, he is in direct violation of police orders. Yeah. And what did he do? He directly violated the police orders, and he decided that, oh, I'm tired of these kids getting away, or whatever it was that he said. By the way, I do not believe he said coon on the tape. The tape that where he's supposed to, coon, where CNN tried to make us hear that like a million times. Right. He was saying cold. I believe now that he was saying cold.
Yeah, and it's not the 1800s, is it? I mean, no one says that.
Thank you. I said that too. I go, do people call, are coons still, something that is a derogatory racial slur that's commonly used?
No, you'll hear hundreds of other things before you hear that. You know, like if you're an actual real racist, a modern day racist, you're not
You're
using
gonna use
that.
the N-word.
Yeah.
You're going to unabashedly and proudly use the N-word. No, so, being fair, if I'm going to say that the reason Trayvon Martin looks suspicious is because it was raining and he was running in and out of doorways, I'm going to say that, look, I believe he was saying cold. It's cold. Because he was in his car, it was raining, and it was unseasonably cold, and it perfectly makes sense to me that this is what that guy said. So what he does is he apparently loops around. Trayvon at this point is talking to his girlfriend on the phone. And he tells his girlfriend that somebody's following him. She says, get out of there, run home, I'm worried about you, or whatever a girlfriend might say. And of course he says to his girlfriend, ain't gonna happen, I ain't running nowhere. Well, he actually did run. At that point, he cut through a backyard. Now, maybe this was on his route home. I don't know that much. But he cut through a backyard, and that's when George Zimmerman looped around, got out of his truck, and sort of cut him off at the pass. There's like this grassy area between the apartment buildings. You know, a lot of apartment complexes have this. People walk their dogs back there or something.
Balconies will face each other or something.
Right. And that's where this all went down. So that's all we know is the kid cut through there. Zimmerman was told not to follow the kid. He followed him anywhere, and then gunshots, fighting. So that's really all we know about what happened. This is where I get off on it. George Zimmerman was told by the police to stop, and he didn't. And you know what? If I'm a kid, I don't care if Trayvon Martin's a thug. 17-year-old kid. When I was a 17-year-old kid, I was filled with piss and vinegar too. Some dude started following me. I would hide and I would get a bat or something and I would probably beat him over the head. That's a 17-year-old kid. That's not justification for shooting him. And he was being followed by some weird guy. I mean, in an unmarked vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, if it was a vehicle, if it was a police vehicle or something, maybe the spotlight or something like that. But no, nothing. This was just a kid walking home and some weird dude was following him and it ended up with the kid being dead. Okay, so that's where I go. That's how I feel about this whole thing. I don't see it as a race thing. He didn't go out hunting coons. You know, it wasn't like that. Stop that. You race pimps out there, and by race pimps, I mean the Al Sharptons and every low-level local community politician who is trying to get some kind of a bust in their career off of this. No, you people are scum. On the other hand, all of you bigots who are being revealed now, I love my Facebook page because this is exactly the story where I start to see, oh, he's a bigot. Oh, he's a bigot. And it's the bigots who are going, I'm just tired of hearing Al Sharpton up speaking about this and Jesse Jackson say. No, okay, well, the fact that you're tired shows that you're a bigot and you're just as bad as them. Shut your mouth and let's just let this play out. I do not believe at all that this is a race issue, but it's being made a race issue.
Yeah, if it was two white guys when this happened, we wouldn't even be talking about it.
It's not even one white guy. George Zimmerman is a Puerto Rican Jew.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know about you, but my white grandpa wouldn't consider George Zimmerman a white guy. I'm just saying.
An update from CNN is that Zimmerman's going to be staying in jail for now. They had a short hearing a little while ago. They set who the judges will be for the next month. It's going to go to reassigned. They did not ask for bond today, although O'Mara said that he would like to see his client released as soon as possible. But O'Mara did note, I think nobody would deny the fact that George Zimmerman is walking down the street today. He would be at risk.
Yes.
So basically, they're saying it's safe for him to stay in jail.
I'd like to give a nice little round of applause to Trayvon's poor mother here, who apparently has gone on record today. I haven't read the story, but I saw the headline. She has gone on record as saying that she believes it was an accident, which is fantastic for her to say. Because you want people to calm down the folks that are out there who think that it's coon hunting season. You know, you want to calm those people down. So for Trayvon's mother to get up and say, look, this was an accident. This wasn't, hey, let's kill the black boy or whatever. So let's not march in the streets and burn down shopkeepers' storefronts and all that. Let's just understand that this was all an accident. And that's what it is. It's a tragic, horrible accident.
That takes a really big mom to be able to actually do that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being able to go out there and say anything about it being an accident this early on. You know what I mean?
I really like his mother and father.
Yeah.
First of all, I have a son, so I can sort of empathize on a level that maybe people who don't have kids do. But oh my God, can you imagine you just never see your kid again? Oh, But I really like these two. And I was saying yesterday on Facebook, I want these two to get back together. I think that in Trayvon's, if anything good can come out of this, I would love to see Trayvon's parents get back together.
Yeah.
Because, they're holding each other. They seem very close. It's very...
It's a coming together moment.
Yeah. So, Sam, I'm sorry. Now that I put all out there, you had some thoughts?
Well, no, actually, I just kind of changed my opinion after hearing your opinion. Because after watching the Don Lemon thing yesterday, it sounded to me like the guy shot him, but he was just defending himself, and he's not guilty. But now that I've listened to what you were saying about the fact that maybe this guy was egging him on, so that's why there was some bruises and some fighting going on. So he could have. Well,
see, now here's the thing. Now let's talk about the confrontation, because this is all speculation. Nobody saw it. What do you think happened?
Well, I mean, based on what Don Lemon said, it sounds like this guy was pissed. Like, I was following you. All of a sudden, you got pissed and you turned around and clocked me because, like, hey, man, why are you following me? I'm danger. I'm scared. What are you doing? And he clocked him, and maybe he tried to take off or tried to get away. And then, but he was shot. Was he shot in the front?
Yeah.
Okay, so a fight was ensuing then.
What I think happened was, and this is pure speculation. Nobody knows. This is just my thoughts. What I think happened here is that when Trayvon ducked back behind the buildings and started to cut across, and he saw that this guy Zimmerman was now out of his vehicle and following him, I think there's a good chance that Trayvon jumped him. What the F, man? And I think that's okay. I think that is perfectly okay. If you are being followed by someone and you feel that you are in danger, you have to have a gun in the state of Florida to be excused from violence? No, he didn't have a gun, but he felt he was in danger and he tried to beat the guy up. That's what I think happened. And I think in the scuffle, I think Trayvon, the 17-year-old, probably got the better of him, and the guy went to his last resort, which was the gun.
Yeah.
And I also believe the screams for help. 3 independent sound analysts have said that is not George Zimmerman. Now, they haven't said it's Trayvon, but if there were only 2 people there, they said that they can conclusively rule that was not the voice of George Zimmerman screaming for help. So what I think happened was, I think there was a fight. I think at some point Zimmerman pulled a gun. I think that's when Trayvon started yelling for help, and maybe Trayvon tried to get the gun away from him, and he shot him.
Yeah. I can only imagine being in that situation when I was that age, because there were little situations where I thought I may have been getting followed, and in my head it was almost a game. It was like, that guy may be following me or something, But for me to get on the phone means that it's escalated. This is not a game anymore. Like, there may be something onto this. Yeah. So like, you do that, and then even then you're probably hesitating to think that this is like the real situation. This is the real deal. You're kind of scared, but you don't think that anything's really going to come from it until he comes out of the car. That's that's when it's real.
Now he's coming, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to do something in defense of yourself, because at that point it's real. You've been hit with reality.
And we don't know Trayvon. Maybe Trayvon was a tough kid. Maybe he's a badass.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that what went on there was a case of 2 people thinking they were using self-defense.
Yeah.
But who initiated it? Zimmerman. The police told Zimmerman, don't follow him. Yeah. Leave him alone. We'll send a squad out to investigate. Stay in your car. Don't exacerbate the situation. And what did Zimmerman do? He completely disregarded what he was told to do by the police. And that's why this whole thing happened. And for that, Zimmerman's got to pay.
Yep. I totally agree.
Yep. I think we got Brandon. We have to go to a break now. And I think we're going to come back with a little bit of Biker Garage and then finish up with Pugs.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, very good. Biker Garage coming up next.